Hi, this is Shanna, and in this video, I'm bringing you into my studio on a lazy Saturday. So, I've been working on building up momentum with my art, drawing, painting, and spending more time in my studio. And today, I'm doing one of the exercises from The Artist's Way, which I've tried to make my way through this book so many times. I've tabbed all 12 weeks of them, and I think the farthest I've ever made it was like partway into week 10. And I am in week 12, and one of the exercises is to mend clothing. So my outfit is the process of me going through old things and mending clothing. And so I'm doing lingerie as outerwear today. I've had this since high school, and I don't know why I've kept it. I don't know if I'm going to mend it or what I'm going to do, but it is serving as inspiration for a painting that I've also been wanting to do, which is the teenage self. So not only am I getting in touch with my artist self by being in my studio today, I'm also getting in touch with my teenage self and tapping into that energy. And I'll show you a painting that I did in high school that is serving as the inspiration for the painting that I'm going to start soon. So you could see the emotion and kind of where I was in my teenage years. I feel like I'm a very different person decades later. Still the same person, but have gone through life experiences since then. So I'm really interested to see what happens as I do this next painting. So in the in-between time, I am cutting up old clothes that are beyond mendable and making them into paint rags. So it's such a satisfying feeling of having all of these stacks ready to go, to blend paint, to clean my brushes, and to work on paintings. So I'm currently sitting at my little sewing table that you saw at the beginning of the video and going through fabrics, textures, colors, sparkly things. This is some fun stuff that I found on some shoes that were in disrepair. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe putting it into some resin and layering it with other sparkly, shiny things. So on mending, I've done The Artist's Way multiple times and have gotten to a phase where Julia Cameron suggests mending your clothing. And I was thinking about why, and it's just like this thread. Things can get tangled up, they can get worn out, and so it's just a process mentally of sorting. So in tandem with repairing holes and tears and stitches, it's like doing the same thing inside of my brain subconsciously, because who knows what's there. And when I'm making a drawing, especially a spontaneous drawing, a lot of times things show up and they surprise even me. And I think that the mending is part of that, just sorting all of those things out and moving them around inside of my psyche. While moving things around inside of my psyche, this is one of the things that I mended, and it is a jumper that I made out of a dress, the dress that I got at World Market, and when I put it on, it was quite frumpy, and I had another jumper that just fit so beautifully that I wanted to clone it, so that's what I did. And it needed repairs because I am a novice at sewing. So not only am I doing my artist's way work, I'm also improving my sewing skills. And now I have a cute little jumper to wear to the beach. So welcome to my studio. This is where I paint. Thank you so much for joining me here. So here's my little studio friend. And here's another studio friend, Black Angus. and I need to find this guy. So while I find this guy, here's a glimpse at the Black Angus painting. And I had so much fun with this. I used a paint called Black 3.0 by Stuart Simple, and I will share that in the description box. But it is super black, super opaque, and that was the base for these cows. So addicted to this stuff. So you can see the beginning stage of the painting and then its evolution. Because he's exploring, and that's what the studio is all about, is exploration. So yes, I've got lingerie, I've got bugs, I've got cows, I've got sparkly things, all here in my studio. All of these things feed my imagination and are fuel for observation. So it causes me to slow down and to look. Like when I'm sitting in front of the easel and I'm actually in the painting process, it is so much about looking and noticing. And yes, it's about expression and feeling as well, but observation. And when people ask me, oh, how do you draw like that? How do you paint like that? Observation, observation, observation. Lots of observation, lots of putting my hand to the paper or the canvas, picking up the brush, and recalibrating over and over what my hand is doing versus what my eye is seeing and getting it as close as possible. Here is an unfinished still life that I started actually years ago, and it's using the Black 3.0. And it's so satisfying, just how dark it is and how it contrasts with the brighter, warmer colors. Also, this painting is part of my process in the artist's way called creative U-turns. So there's a whole section on revisiting projects that you have let languish and let go and choosing to return back to them and get back to work. So this is a creative U-turn for me. I will be getting back on this. I don't have the same exact setup. I can't exactly recreate it. So what my plan is with that one is to find my old photos of the still life and take some creative liberty just with brush strokes and colors and where it goes. So this will jump outside of observation and dig deeper into the imagination. So it's not all observation, of course, even though that's a big part of it. There is a lot of imagination too. So being in here on a lazy Saturday, I'm just letting things bake, letting things integrate, letting things float around in my brain. And then I will pick back up and dig back in with my brush, with my pencil, with my pen. I just rhymed. And pardon me while I take a sip of my Diet Coke. That's always a trusted friend in my studio as well as my Diet Coke. I hope you have enjoyed this little visit with me into my studio on a lazy Saturday. What I'm working on now is, after my mending and letting things bake and integrate, getting into the editing process of the commission that I've been working on. So in my last video, I was narrowing it down. I made 4 different options for my client to choose a composition, and they chose. In the next video about the commission, you will see the progress of it and it coming to completion. Thank you so much for joining me in my studio today.